Bold prediction time. We've done several chapters of this. What do you believe that you think is really bold, but you would bet your own money on it? First up, Texas A&M beating Notre Dame by double digits in week 1. We got a line on the game. FanDuel, courtesy of FanDuel, A&M minus 1.5. That's your line on that game right now. Game's in College Station. They didn't put it in the Texans Stadium. They didn't put it in Jerry World. They put a college football game. Believe the audacity to do this. They put a college football game in a college football stadium in week 1. I wonder if it'll work. Whew. We'll see. Forecast high, about 116 that day. Both teams have new offensive coordinators. So Colin Klein is the new OC at A&M. So you're saying he's going to go in there and he's going to beat Notre Dame by double digits. That's interesting. Both of these teams have top 20 defenses. I'd be more inclined to look at the under at 48.5, honestly. But Texas A&M under Mike Elko now, year 1, total wild card. I will admit that. I'll grant you that. It'd be a huge shot heard around college football. And it would be fitting if we went all of these months, everyone's talking about Texas and our dark horse, and I'm patting myself on the chest preemptively because we have been talking about him a lot. What if Mike Elko serves up a 23-10 win over Notre Dame? That's an 8.25 on the boldness scale, by the way, but it could happen. Next up, this is a little bolder. No new SEC or Big Ten teams will make the playoff. That's a 9.25 for me. Bordered on the 9.5. Oregon, big favorite to make it, minus 290. Texas is minus 230. So they're both heavily favored to make the playoff. And even if that happens, even if they don't make it, you still got to make sure USC doesn't come out of nowhere. You still got to make sure Oklahoma doesn't find their offensive line's footing and they make a run. So, my point is, if Texas doesn't make it, there's a likelihood it's because they lost to Oklahoma. And if Oklahoma beats Texas, that's part of a really, really good playoff-looking resume. Ditto with USC. Maybe Oregon didn't make it because USC ended up making it instead. So because of that, I think this is bold enough to be a 9.25. One of those new teams is going to be in the playoff, at least one of them. Clemson has a single-digit win season. That's a 7 on the boldness scale. You know why? Because they're over Clemson's win total is 9.5. Do you understand that? So odds makers themselves, with that number juiced to the under, by the way, are telling you it's more likely than not to us that they finish with single-digit wins. This right here happened last year. So they won single-digit games last year. That was the first time that happened since 2010. But if you go back to the 2018 national title game, and they won that. They had 0 losses that year. Here's how many losses they've had every year since then. They had 0 that year. 1 loss the following year. 2 losses after that. 3 losses. 3 losses. 4 losses. This is called a trend, I'm told. And so there's reason to believe, especially when you got Georgia right out the gate. Then you play NC State, good team. Florida State on the road. They've got Louisville. They've got South Carolina. This wouldn't be crazy. A 9-3 season is not a bad season. And so if that's all that's got to happen for this to hit, that's a 7 on the boldness scale. And lastly, how about an individual here? Darius Taylor of Minnesota leads the Big Ten in rushing. That's only an 8.75. It sounds a lot bolder than it is. So you may think, oh man, Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, surely Ohio State will, well, stop. Because we said an individual. So, if Darius Taylor totes the rock by himself 25 times a game, nobody at Ohio State is going to do that. So he may very well lead individually in rushing. They returned 4 starters on the O-line there. He had 3 games last year out of 6 that he played in with 190 plus on the ground. He had 800 rushing yards through 6 games as a true freshman. They did portal in multiple running backs. And you do have a guy like Donovan Edwards at Michigan. Rutgers has got a guy, too, that could individually carry a lion's share of the carries in the backfield. But this is not crazy bold. I think it's an 8.75, not crazy bold.